Get stuff done. In this video you're going to learn how to actually focus on the important things in order to make progress, which also results in higher quality and higher efficiency in your work. The purpose of this video is to actually share with you the advice that I would have needed but I did not had when I was just putting in so many hours, working hour after hour, month after month, but I did not really saw progress. And that had many reasons, but one of the biggest reasons were that I just never really asked myself, am I productive? Am I focusing on the right things? And in this video I really want to share with you what I learned, and I'm still working on it, so it's never a progress, it's a progress that never really ends. Like a famous person says, everything in life is rented. Everything. So if you want to have something, you need to always continue doing the things, so you always have it. And it's the same with this. So with that being said, let's get right into it. The first thing that I want to share with you is the 20-80 rule, also known as the Pareto principle. And the Pareto principle is almost like a universal law. And I think most of you should already know it, but for those that don't, I will explain it quickly. So the Pareto principle just says that 20% of the input is going to equal 80% of the output. And 80% of the input are going to result in 20% of the output. But to really bring this point close to you, I want to share a few examples. So let's take the example of a book. A book that has 300 pages. The Pareto principle says that 80% of the results, so all the learnings, the knowledge, and all these things that you're going to get out of this book is going to come from only 20% of the pages that you read. So that would equal 60 pages of things that you read are going to equal 80% of all the knowledge that you get out of this book. And all the other 240 pages are going to only equal in 20% of the results. And that is actually almost like a universal law. You can look anywhere, literally anywhere, and you actually break it down, you will see that it's always like that. It's always so that 20% of the work that is put in is going to result in 80% of the output. And 80% of the work that is going to get into this business or this project or whatever is going to only result in 20% of the results. It's always like that. Look, in every situation, like literally anything, it's always the 20% input that matter the most. And now we are going to find out how to actually know which are these 20% that we need to put in, so we don't get 80% of the work to only achieve 20% of the result, but we want 20% of the input, 20% of the work to achieve 80% of their output. So the golden question now is, which are these 20% work that are going to equal in 80% of the output? Because if we know that, we can actually start working on this 20% and don't waste our time with the other 80%. And now I'm going to explain to you exactly how to find out. So first of all, most of the times the work that is 20% of the input that equals an 80% of the output is the work that you don't want to do. It's the work that you're always trying to not do, you're always trying to procrastinate over it and just do the other things because they're easier to do. So most of the times it's actually the work that you don't want to do. But now, how do we actually find out? So over time I developed a strategy that actually gives me exactly that. And the strategy is a bit boring, but it exactly gives you the result that you're looking for. And the strategy is also not very fancy or crazy or all these kind of things. I once heard a very famous person say, success isn't easy, but it's simple. And that's exactly what this strategy is all about. So now, how do we actually do it? You just take a white piece of paper, take a pen, set our alarm clock for 10 minutes, and just sit down and think, what are the things that are going to equal in 80% of the output? Yeah, it's that simple. It's just about sitting down and actually analyzing it. Because I want you to understand that all the answers are already in your head. Your subconscious mind is so powerful, and you have so many things stored in your brain that you actually don't even know about it. But you need to actually sit down and really focus so you actually get them out and write them down. But that is the key to actually know which are these 20% that are going to equal in 80% of the output. You already know the answer, but you just need to sit down and actually think. And that matches exactly with what a good friend of me once told me. The result that you're looking for is in the work that you are avoiding. The result that you are looking for is in the work that you are avoiding. But there's also an exception. And this exception is when you're not quite that deep into the topic that you actually are able to ask a good question. Let's say you're just starting off with something and you're just new in it, then most of the times it's just that you don't even know enough about the topic that you can even ask a good question. Like I had this problem with when I was just starting off with YouTube and videography and all these kind of things. I did not know enough to actually ask a good question because I wasn't that deep into the topic. To actually ask a good question, you need to be into the topic so good and so deep that you can actually even ask a question. If you're just starting off, first of all, you just need to learn something about the topic, understand it, and then you can start doing exactly what I said to you. Take a white piece of paper, a pen, and write down, just 10 minutes, write down what are the things that are 20% of the work that are going to equal in 80% of the output. And I promise you, you know them already. You know them, you just need to get them out of your mind, get them out of your subconscious mind. You already know all the answers. You just need to get them out of your mind. And once we did that, once we actually sat down with a piece of paper and just thought, got them out of our mind, then we can actually start implementing that. And I know this is probably not the advice that you wanted to hear. But like my friend said, the result that you're looking for is in the work you're avoiding. So please don't be lazy with this one. Just do it. Because like I said, most of the times the result that you're looking for is just in the work that you don't want to do. Most of the times the things that you want to do the least are exactly where the biggest output, the biggest payout is going to be. And once we actually did it, once we actually sat down with a piece of paper and just thought, just got it out of our mind, then we can actually start implementing it. And we do that with planning the work beforehand. So we really take 10 minutes before we actually start working, and we actually think what are the steps, what are the tasks that I am going to work at in this work session, in this work block. I always do it the night before, but you can also do it just right before you start working. But really take this 10 minutes and actually start to think, okay, what am I going to work at? What are the steps that I'm going to take? And once you did that, once you start working, you will actually be able to just follow the plan and get 20% of the work to equal 80% of the output. And now that you stayed to this part of the video, I want to give you a bonus tip. And on this bonus tip, I'm still working on to this day. Like I said, success is rented. Success is never permanent. You always need to just put in the work over and over and over again to actually have it. And it's the same with this. And this bonus tip is first things first. That means that the most important things in your life you're going to do at first thing in the morning. You're going to do nothing before that. I really highly advise you to actually start implementing that. And like I said, I'm still working on it. It's a work in progress, but it's a great rule. And if you get to actually have the discipline and the courage to first things in the morning, you just do the important thing and then you have it out of the way. You have to work with clarity, the day with clarity, you know what to do, and you can actually use the rest of the day for the things that you would have done before, or that, and you don't have the stress. Stress comes from the things that you're not doing, but you should do. It does not come from the things that you are doing and you know you need to do. Stress only comes from the things that you don't get done. And if you start with the most important things first in the day, then the chance that you're actually going to achieve them and going to complete them over the day is much higher. Because if you're just like thinking, oh, I have time, I will do it later, then many times it's too late to actually do them, and then you don't complete them, and that is exactly where the stress comes from. And now I really thank you for watching this video to the end, and I really hope that you got some value out of it. I would really appreciate it if you leave me a like and a comment down below. And on that note, I'm going to see you in the next one.